It is go time, Barber. What's happening, buddy?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta be. I don't know. Are you nervous if you're a Met fan? Or
Yes, Met fans are terrified.
Extraordinarily confident.
No, they're terrified.
You got Max Scherzer on the hill. Now, Yu Darvish has dominated you in the two outings, both in San Diego and in New York. So, I mean, confidence is what I would think Met fans are feeling, but they got to be a little bit nervous simply because they haven't fared well against the Padres this year. And there's so many ways to take today and what you're feeling if you're a Mets fan today. I think the biggest one though, BT, is it's got to be about your pitching. It's got to be. Now the Padres, their position players haven't been great either. Like they haven't hit for anything.
Everybody's hitting zero right now, Tiki, or 1,000, depending upon how you look at it. But clean slate.
But that's the point.
Yep.
Is that it's a new season and everything starts over. And if you're the Mets, you gotta rely on dominant outings by your starting rotation. You have to have it by Scherzer. You have to have it by Bassett, potentially, if they win game one. Mm-hmm. And you have to have it by DeGrom. And in fact, if they get to DeGrom, then that might be troublesome. Not just for this series, but also for the next one.
Well, I don't even want to get into this now, but it is possible that this is Jacob DeGrom's final few days as a Met. I'm not even going to go there now.
You just did.
I mean, I did, but I'm not going to really probe more deeply into it. I don't want to be that guy. That's not the main story, but that is a possibility. Same with Aaron Judge.
No, you're right.
I mean, let's just call it for what it is. Here's the thing, and I do not like what Buck is doing. I do not like this plan. I think it's too cute. I don't care what anybody else says unless they agree with me. Then I care a little bit, especially when that somebody is like Ron Darling, who was with Boomer and Gio today, and he agreed with my assertions, and obviously, Ronnie's forgot more about pitching than I'll ever know. But as much as and I'm going to play that for you in a minute, but as much as we talk about all the pitching here, which obviously is paramount. If Scherzer goes out and throws a gem, Mets is sitting pretty. If Scherzer goes out and gets dotted a little bit, the air and the energy goes out of the stadium. Who knows what happens? But I got to tell you, here's where my spotlight's going. It's going on Pete Alonso.
Why,
Well, I'm going to tell you why. Now, a lot of people could say, well, what about Lindor? I understand that. But you look, and those are the two best players indisputably. You look at Lindor, based on a skill set, his natural athleticism, Lindor can go, 1 for 11 and still score from first base on a double in the gap. Still play terrific defense at shortstop. Steal a couple of bases. Impact the game with his wheels and his athleticism. If Pete Alonso goes 1 for 12 or 0 for 11 or whatever, like he did in the Braves series where he was 2 for 10 with no ribbies, with no extra base hits, the Mets aren't winning. Pete Alonso, and I heard it all summer, and I get it. He's your guy. He's a terrific player, but I got a lot of this all summer. You know what? He's the MVP. No, he's not. It's Goldschmidt. You know what? He's as good as Judge. No, he's not. Judge is better. That doesn't mean Alonso's not terrific in his own right. Mm-hmm. You hit 40 home runs. You blast 131 RBIs, tied for the lead, which, by the way, establishes Mets record, the only Met to hit 40-plus home runs in multiple seasons ever. Not Piazza, not Darryl, nobody else. It's Pete Lindor. It's Pete Lindor. It's Pete Alonso. Alonso needs to show up.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Not winning if he doesn't.
It's not like he had a horrible September. He actually had a really good September at 273. His OPS was up near 1,000.
Yeah.
Right? So he had a pretty good September, but it didn't necessarily help them in the situations that we were talking about, or Chicago, obviously Atlanta, the big series that we keep referring to. But, the only pushback I would have on that is that Pete Alonso hasn't always this season, in a 101-win season, been that guy for the Mets. They've done it by having great team baseball, playing, small ball if you have to.
Yep.
And now they're hurt and they're compromised a little bit because Marte is out. But I think the DNA of this Mets team is, all right, well, if Nimmo doesn't get it done, then McNeil is going to get it done. And if McNeil doesn't get it done, then Lindor is going to be there. And then Pete Alonso and whoever, and Nito every now and then, he'll hit you a home run in critical moments. But I think that at their core, this Mets team isn't all about a guy having to have a series. It's about all of them having to have the series.
I agree, and it's proven out that way, but now it's different, Tiki, because as much as it's been a collaborative effort and there's been contributions from so many different players. And by the way, I don't think this is going to happen. I would be stunned, but we're still waiting for the postseason roster to trickle in. I know it's been submitted to the league office. We don't have it yet. It's 10:07.
Yeah.
It's got to be in by 10. I mean, I saw the video. You saw it. We talked about it. Marte shanking the other day in right field and didn't look incredibly favorable to me, but there's still a puncher's chance he's on the roster for the wild card, which would be amazing for the Mets, but would stun me. I just wanted to get that out there. Once it comes in, we will let you know who's on it, prominently, who's not. All right, we got you there. But the thing about Alonso is that the other pieces of the Mets, while, yes, they did band together and they won the second most games they've ever won in the franchise's existence.
Yeah.
This is going to sound like a knock or a diss. It's not. It's the reality. The other pieces are not good enough if Alonso, and obviously Lindor too, don't hit. They're not good enough. If you're relying on I've heard Evan for Nito, and he's right. Nito's been okay. He's been all right. I like Nito. If you count on Nito, get 5 or 6 hits this series, you're going home.
No, you're right.
I mean, Escobar's had a really interesting last month or so, and I think he could be a factor. But Canada's been in a slump after a little, hot streak in August. Your best player's got to hit. It's the bottom line. And listen, you look at, I gave you what Alonso did against the Braves, 2 for 10, no ribbies. They lost all 3 games. You could also go back to early September when it was 2 games. It was the 2 final games of the National Series and the first game of the I think that would have been the Pirates series, where he was 0 for 11 in those 3 games with no RBIs. Mets didn't fare well in those particular games.
Yeah.
So he's got to come out and he's got to be the star that he's been all year.
Yeah, he has, and I think some of the reasons that comparisons to Aaron Judge get thrown around is because just like Aaron Judge, when Aaron Judge isn't hitting, the Yankees struggle to score. The same thing could be said about the Mets when Pete Alonso isn't driving in runs, and he had a ton of them, 131.
Tied for the most.
Tied for the most in Major League Baseball. It's really hard for the Mets to also score runs. I mean, 131 runs were responsible to Pete Alonso, so you got to give him credit for that. But I also, maybe it's a trust thing, simply because I've seen it and we saw it, especially early in the season. You saw so much of team baseball with this Mets team, and so I know what you're saying, and I hear you, but I'm not as worried about Pete Alonso having a bad series as I would be about Aaron Judge having a bad series for the New York Yankees.
So you think it's far less? It would be a far less ominous sign or result for the Mets if Alonso doesn't hit.
That's right.
Versus Judge taking the collar or having no impact for the Yankees.
I believe. That
I agree with that.
I believe that if Judge is not hitting, then
Yanks ain't winning.
Yanks ain't winning.
If you ain't hitting, we are quitting. What line is that from? The OJ, but there's something else.
I don't know.
There's something else too. Either way, I'm crossing pop culture references.
Right. But if Pete Alonso is having a little bit of an off series, I think they can find a way to piece their way through some of them.
Not if Soto hits.
Not if
their big boys show
likely
up. That's
not
the thing.
Not the Dodgers, but maybe for the Padres.
Stop talking about the Dodgers.
I can't, man. It's right in front of us.
Can't. Right in front of you. You know what's also right in front of the Mets? The end of the season.
That's true.
If they don't handle biz, which we all hope that they do. 877-337-6666. I mean, we are ready to go. I'm driving in, Boomer and Gio fired up. I come in today, Hoffy's got his black number 5 David Wright jersey on. Now, I understand the tradition, who'll let the dogs out, 2000, black jerseys, they're cool. But this is just a little nitpick on my part. If I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to baseball uniforms. I don't know if why are you busting these out tonight? I don't know about that. Give me the old pinstripe look. Give me a little Seaver.
I would agree.
Give me a little Good and a little Hernandez.
I think
what
I
are
agree.
you doing?
I think I agree with
right?
you. It's too cocky, maybe.
I don't know. It's just not. I mean, what have they won in them?
It's not even about winning. It's just what have they traditionally look like? Like if you were thinking Met, if you were outside of New York and you were thinking Mets, you're going to turn on the TV tonight if you were watching baseball tonight, and you're going to be like, what? Is that Met? That's not what I know about the Mets.
Well, Piazza wore that. David Wright wore that, right? So it depends how old you are.
Some people might say, oh, those are cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're ugly.
Others might say,
unnecessary.
That's not what I expected.
Yeah. All right, so we got it all.
Thing,
we got it all for you today. Tiki and Tierney inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. I've got Fangraph's latest World Series odds. Would you like me to divulge what I think our audience would find pertinent, which means Yankees and Mets?
Yes.
All right. But I'll give you the couple in front. Number one, the Astros at 17.5%. The Braves at 16.5%. The Dodgers at 14.9%. Now we get to the New York slot. Do we think that the Yankees or the Mets would be more prominently featured percentile-wise based on the math with Fangraphs? I mean, what would you say?
I feel like they did this solely based on the record because when I look at it, I would think it would be the Yankees.
Uh-huh.
It is, however, not the Yankees.
It's the Mets.
It's the Mets.
It's the Mets.
It's almost like it is based on the record. The final record of the season. It's probably, I don't think it actually is.
I don't think it is either.
It feels like it is.
Well, here's what I don't. Well, I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter. I could give you a theory as to why. Nobody cares. The Mets are fourth at 11.1%. The Yankees are at 5 at 10.3%. Everybody else, who cares? It's about these two teams right now, and we're jacked up. We're ready to go. Listen, This really is the best part of being a fan. And to me, this is the best part about being back on local radio. I miss these days, this energy. You wake up, I don't care if you're not a Mets fan, even if you're the biggest Yankee fan in the world, like Dove Kramer, the executive producer of the New York Yankees. You just know it's around the corner. Now, it's a little warm today, so it doesn't have that normal October chill. But man, oh man, everything that you think about, especially if you're a Mets fan today, you just can't wait. It's like detention. Time moves painfully slow. When can I leave the office? When can I get home? When can I deal with the kids and do what I got to do? When is first pitch? Well, it's later, and here we are.
It's very late
and
today.
It's awesome.
8:07. I mean, it's a late first pitch, but it's awesome, though.
It is. Hoff, do you have the Ron Darling stuff? I want to play this real quick. So Ronnie was on with Boomer and Gio. And you know what I said? I do not like the Mets. I think they're getting too cute with this. Throw your best right away. Don't save any bullets. You might not need them. Here's what Darling said this morning.
You know, sometimes, Gio, we have almost too much information now. So we have information how to win a 3-game series, how to win a 5-game series, how to win a 7-game series. And I'm sure that they've given some thought on what is the best way for the Mets to win 13 games. That's what you have to do to win the World Series. That's all great. And it's all great information, but boy, I would not be able to live with myself if DeGrom does not pitch Game 2. I just think at some point, you've gotten to this point in the season, and it's great to save guys. If you didn't have Bassett behind DeGrom, who had an excellent year, take away the Atlanta start, then maybe you might think differently. But to not deploy these two weapons in Scherzer and DeGrom as many times as you can use them seems to me to be thinking it a little too much. Just make it simple. You got two of the best pitchers on the planet. Just use them as often as you can.
Amen. Amen. No other way to interpret it. Ronnie's 1,000% right. 877-337-6666.